So, Marvel Snap has been taking over the internet. We've had just so many ads, so many new content creators, and for good reason, it's super fun. And everyone who's been here long enough on this channel knows that I like to make custom cards. I have a whole series of making Legends of Runeterra custom cards, which you can check out right here. But I decided that, I thought it'd be pretty fun to try making some Marvel Snap custom cards. But, Marvel Snap has a really big history of comic book characters, and I know, like, 8 of them. But something that I do know kind of well is DC Comics. So here we are going through a little what-if scenario. Take Marvel Snap and make an alternate universe where DC Comics was the one that got this game instead of Marvel. And so to start this off, we have the man. Is he a bird? Is he a plane? No, it is Superman. I made him a 6 energy, 12 power. At the end of turn 6, if this is in your deck, play it to a location you're losing, ignoring other cards and locations. Unlike my series of turning Yu-Gi-Oh cards into Legends of Runeterra cards, I really don't have anything to base these off of other than just their powers in the comic universe. And so Superman is a man who swoops in at the last minute and saves the day, right? That's kind of like the most Superman thing about Superman. So I figured, what if he was nowhere to be seen, he was in your deck, he's not even if he's in your hand, just straight up from your deck, and he just comes in and saves the day at the last minute. He seems pretty similar to Captain Marvel. The difference here is that he's not moving on the board to a place you're guaranteed to win. I think guaranteed to win effects are really hard to balance. Now, to go over the balancing of these cards a little bit, Marvel Snap is really focused on a high variance play rate. What that means is every game should feel different and unique, so you have a lot of effects that have these like random or like kind of different effects that you wouldn't see in standard card games, which is fine. It's a game that's maybe not meant to be super competitive. Maybe it's more tailored towards a casual audience. I think that like setting things up for an archetype would be really cool, and I think the like from deck, like forcing things from your hand or on the field back into the deck to come out and do something on the lines of something like Jubilee and Lockjaw, but maybe just cards that actually benefit from that effect would be really cool. So the plan here is that it's going to be the entire Justice League. The next card that we have is Batman. Now, Batman is on reveal, gain +1 power for each card your opponent played while this was in your hand. So the way I envision this is that if you get Batman on turn 1, and then by turn 5, your opponent has played 4 cards, Batman's gonna get +4. Reason for this being is that Batman is one of those characters that historically, if he has enough prep time, he can win any fight. So, if he's sitting in your hand just watching what the opponent's doing, is, calculating, running simulations, he can eventually grow to be powerful enough to beat any single opponent. I kind of thought that that'd be a fun idea, but one thing about Batman that's a little unfortunate is that if you don't actually draw him early in the game, an effect like this could be really bad. If you draw him on like turn 5 or 6, then he's only going to gain like 1 or 2 power at most. Unless someone's on that like Kazoo Miracle deck, then Batman's probably not going to be super strong. Something like Batman would need a tutor. And who better to tutor Batman than the boy wonder himself, Robin? On reveal, draw a 5-cost card from your deck. He's a 2 energy, 2 power. I didn't want a card that was just gonna tutor only Batman, though that could be kind of cool. Maybe I'll revisit this card sometime. But I figured that just having a card that could tutor any 5-cost card would be really cool. He's Batman's sidekick, so it would make sense that he'd be the thing to tutor him to your hand early in the game. If you're winning on turn 2, you'll get this, and then Batman will see all of your cards played. And then Batman will, of course, be able to win. So next up, we have Green Arrow. Now, Green Arrow, kind of like the counterpart to Hawkeye. I might get some shit for that in the comments. Anyway, I designed him to be such. A 1 energy, 1 power. On reveal, the next card your opponent plays here loses 3 power. Hawkeye would gain 2 or 3 power. Green Arrow would force them to lose said power. From my understanding, Green Arrow doesn't actually have any powers. He's just really good with a bow. I think the bow and arrow characters having this when something is played at this location effect would be a really cool archetype. Okay, so next up, we have Wonder Woman. A lot of the DC comic book characters have these powers where they're just they can fly, they have super strength, and it's hard to find a good way to differentiate that in the cards. But Wonder Woman, I decided to have on reveal +1 power for each card in your hand. It works similar to Devil Dinosaur would work, except Devil Dinosaur is an ongoing effect that you need a lot of cards in your hand, as to where Wonder Woman needs to see them on play, and then after that point, it doesn't matter. The most that she can be, I think, is going to be 8 power, because you got to figure that there's cards that let you draw more on play. So if you play something and then play her and you had a full hand, you can be at 7 cards. 7 + 1, that's 8. So she'd be a 2-mana 8, but that requires you to have a full hand and to play her at some point past turn 2. I still think that she's a very strong card, but I think that I made it balanced enough. The other problem with balancing, I guess I'll mention this here, is that you have so many random interactions, and then you also have the locations, which are also, not only are they random what you get, but also in what order they appear, and which ones you get per game. So it's really hard to balance some cards, and it's like, do you balance cards around the possibility of this one location, or do you just balance them as far as like if locations didn't matter? I kind of went with the idea of as if locations don't matter, but feel free to let me know if you think that that is totally off base and these should be balanced in some different way. The next up, we have the Flash. 3 energy, 4 power. Each turn, this card can move to a location it hasn't been to yet. So imagine you play Flash on the far left location. Next turn, you can play him on the far right. Next turn, you can play him in the middle. After that turn, he cannot move anywhere other than through other cards' effects. But effectively, he can move twice. I know that there's a lot of cards that can get a benefit from him, but he currently doesn't actually get any benefit from moving himself. So it's just the fact that he can zip around, which makes sense because he's got the speed force and whatever. All right, so next up, we have Aquaman, a hero who is quite often mocked in the DC fandom. I made him a 4 energy, 3 power, on reveal, fill both sides of this location with fish. What is a fish, you may ask? Well, I'm glad that you asked, because I actually made that too. Just a 1 energy, 1 power fish. You know, something smells fishy here. Thought it'd be kind of funny. Let's just talk about the implications of Aquaman. So this is effectively gonna be like a locking down a location. It is a little different because it's turn 4, so your opponent had to have played nothing, and then they get 4 fish there. And then also, if your opponent is on a concept like Kazoo, I think you end up losing in that situation. So there are ways that this can backfire on you. Also, if either player's on Killmonger, then this just has no value. But I think that it is pretty on brand for Aquaman. And yeah, it's really good with cards like Patriot, where these fish have no power. So there are some ways that you can get use out of this outside of just locking your opponent out of a location. And again, there are ways that this can backfire on you. But next we have Hawkgirl. Now, Hawkgirl is known for being very aggressive in the comics and in any of the shows. So I made her a 4 energy, 6 power on reveal at the end of this turn. This card does battle with the highest power enemy. Destroy the one with less power. So she's kind of a double-edged sword, because she's 4/6, which is pretty strong. If you play her on an empty field, it does nothing. If your opponent has, let's say, Quicksilver while she's in play, she's going to do battle with the strongest thing. Let's say they only have Quicksilver. Quicksilver has 2 power. She has 6. She will win. That will die. It's very much like Warrior's Fall. I think that this is a really strong card. There really aren't a lot of effects like this in the game. I love, like, cards like this because it actually can, like, define a deck. Or it could even define an archetype. I wanted to make Hawkman, what is he called? Any of the other hawk people, any birds, you could have something to this effect. We keep talking about like making archetypes off of this. And so the last card is something that I think would be a really cool archetype to make. I don't know how people are going to feel about this. Because I think it's a really cool concept, but I think it's going to be the hardest one to balance of any of them. And that is going to be Hal Jordan. I didn't use Green Lantern, and I'll get into that in a second, but Hal Jordan, at the end of each turn, create a random energy construct in hand. He's a 3 energy, 3 power, and he's going to create something in hand at the end of each turn. I figured this made sense because in the comics, you know, he can use his ring and he can just create anything with his mind. I believe the terminology is he can create anything that he actually understands. But then, like, you have things where they create like a mecha suit and a literal plane. So, like, I'm not really sure the actual rules here, but let's get into what some of these constructs are. So first up, we have the hand construct. So just so you know, all the constructs are going to be 2 energy and 3 power. I just feel that for now, that makes the most sense. So they're all going to have some kind of effect. So the hand construct is on reveal, move the enemy with the highest power to the right. That is probably going to be the strongest one of all of these. And I'm sure if like there was a card to balance or change, it's going to be this one. Problem is I didn't really have any better ideas for the hand construct. So if you have any better ideas, please leave those in the comments down below. Also make sure to hit that like button and subscribe because I will be doing more custom cards of some fashion in some game. So if you're into that, definitely let us know. So next up, we have the chain construct. Now the chain construct is going to have an ongoing effect of enemy cards cannot move from this location. Because if you've ever seen it in the comics, they always use this chain to lock down or like tie someone up. Next one up we have is barrier construct. On reveal, friendly units here cannot be destroyed. I'm kind of realizing now that I said on reveal and not ongoing. I think this could go either way. I think that it's either an on reveal, things can't be destroyed anymore, or it can just be for this turn. And then the final card that we have is going to be the sofa construct. I couldn't do this without making at least one fun joke card. So this is a card that is going to ongoing friendly units here have +1 power. It's kind of like Captain America, but the difference here is that this is a randomly generated card that you have to get off of Hal Jordan. So I think overall the constructs are the toughest cards to balance around because they are things that you're going to get randomly throughout the game. And Hal Jordan is a 3 cost, so you're only going to be able to play them on turns 4, 5, and 6. Will Marvel Snap's competition be called DC Nuts? Stop. No. Get out. Stop it. No. Well, I hope that you enjoyed our little adventure into the world of What If DC Snap. I had a lot of fun making these. I really hope you enjoyed them. I would love to make more, but I would just like to know your suggestion, your comments, how you guys feel about this. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you like the video. Definitely let me know what you thought about it. If you haven't been able to tell from the box right over here, I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/x795. Make sure to hit me with a follow there so that you can be in this wonderful conversation, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.